And greetings, boys and girls around the world. I have something to say. I appreciate your listening. I believe you'll find it meaningful. This is in reference to the climate debate, which I know you're bored with. I'm not bored with it because the pushers of this theory are going full steam ahead, and it will cripple the United States economy. It will raise your utility prices. It will raise the price of gasoline. It will destroy our energy security. It will dampen the economy. It will put people out of work. This is important, even though I know it's a frustrating and sometimes boring subject. I came across this fellow named Muller, Muller, Dr. Muller, physicist, associated with Berkeley, California, University of California, Berkeley. But there are perhaps 3 or 4 videos on YouTube about a Muller, Muller, discussing climate skepticism. He basically agrees with everything that we climate deniers have been saying, except, of course, we're not climate deniers. We know that the climate changes just as the weather changes. We are skeptical that man has caused these changes. Muller, in 2 presentations that I've seen, says that all our arguments are correct. And the global warming proponents, what we call warmists, should not have been doing these things. That's self-defeating. It destroys our credibility. We ought not to say that that hurricane is caused by global warming. We ought not to say that that wildfire is caused by global warming. ClimateGate is real. The emails were not hacked. They were leaked by someone on the inside who was very unhappy with the deception going on. So point by point by point, Muller agrees with everything that I've been arguing. The ice caps are not going to melt. He came across, here's a way to explain what's going on. I haven't figured out Muller yet. I kind of suspect that he might believe that he has found conclusive proof that carbon dioxide, human emitted carbon dioxide, is driving a temperature increase that will continue. Perhaps he's convinced of that. But he says, like Al Gore, everything that Al Gore said in his presentation was erroneous, wrong, deceptive, self-defeating. It generated hostility toward the cause of global warming, man-made global warming. He came across, for example, this is just an illustration. He came across a Nobel Prize winning physicist who had signed a petition to unite science against these global warming deniers. And he asked Muller if he had signed it, and Muller said no. Why not? Well, because I found that, for example, the urban heat island effect is a problem. You know, weather stations were put originally in a rural area, and the rural area became a small town, and the small town became a big town, and a lot of concrete and asphalt inside a city would, well, we know for a fact that this is always hotter than the countryside far away from the concrete and asphalt. And the physicist said, oh, I didn't know that. And he said the physicist, the Nobel Prize winning physicist, was told to sign the petition because science was being attacked by a bunch of closed-minded, ignorant Bible thumpers who didn't believe in climate change. Well, we're not all Bible thumpers, and we know that the climate changes. We know the climate changes. Just as the weather changes, we're just skeptical that man had anything to do with it. Muller agrees with all of our arguments, and he stands up to the warmists from the inside, telling them don't do these things anymore. I suspect that Muller has found proof that convinces him that it is anthropogenic CO2 that is driving a warming trend that goes back more than 50 years. I'll just drop a hint. He seems to think it's been going on longer than you would ever imagine. A small increase in CO2 will be amplified by water vapor, and it'll be amplified by melting snow, which exposes more dark-colored ground to the sunlight and contributes to warming, contributes to the melting of the permafrost, and allows methane to escape. Methane is a greenhouse gas more powerful than water vapor, perhaps more powerful than CO2. And the thinking seems to be that it only takes a small trigger to set off a chain reaction that has far-reaching results, causing a temperature swing of 10 degrees. And this is what causes the ice ages to come and go. It could be that a slight change in our orbit around the sun makes us slightly warmer, and this triggers a slight increase in CO2, which triggers a slight increase in water vapor, which triggers a slight decline in ice and snow on the poles, which amplifies, the process, and it keeps on growing. It could be that Muller believes this, and he does think that man is causing the recent climate change, but again, I say it's not exactly recent. He goes further back, and I won't say it unequivocally, but apparently he goes back 300 years. Man has been causing all the warming since the middle of the Little Ice Age, but I can't figure out Muller. He does not seem to be alarmed, and he's not advocating the abandonment of fossil fuels. He is focused on the future, and the emissions in the future will primarily be from the developing countries. The United States should lead the way, in his view, in curbing emissions, and in such a way that the developing countries can copy our successful carbon reduction schemes. So in other words, if the developing world in the future does not limit carbon dioxide, it's hopeless. Forget it. It's just too much. It won't make any difference whether you drive a Prius. It won't matter that you install solar panels. It's so insignificant. It won't matter if the entire state of California reduces carbon emissions. It won't matter if the entire United States reduces carbon emissions significantly, because the third world will produce so much more carbon dioxide. Muller is an enigma. The good news is that he agrees with everything we've been complaining about. And I'm giving you a heads up that apparently he's going to soon release a paper, which will be published in science journals, reputable, mainstream, credible science journals.